Hello and welcome to this video about emisCAD 2019. In this video I'm going to cover the manual installation of the third-party software that emisCAD depends upon, cover the manual installation of the resources that emisCAD uses, and I'll also cover the configuration of emisCAD where the installation is not the default. The screenshot you see here is the screen that is displayed when you run the third-party software installer in full automatic mode, but for this purpose I'm just going to use it as a reference point. The components installed include the .NET Framework 3.5, which is only really required for the report publishing since that uses the rs.exe program. It will install SQL Server 2017 Express, followed by the Management Studio. It will restore an emis database, install SQL Server messages, reporting services. It will configure reporting services, publish the emis reports, extract the resources folder to your C program data folder, and then it will apply cumulative update to SQL Server. If you don't want to perform a full automatic installation, or you already have some of this software already installed and available to use either on a single computer or on the network, then you can use this video to refer to the parts that you actually need to install. I'll put links into the description to the various points in the video to help you jump to those points. So I'm just going to use a freely available compression tool 7-zip to extract the contents of the file into a folder, and we'll now just quickly review the contents of that folder. So I'm now just going to explore the extracted folders. I'll just maximize the window to make it a little bit easier to see. So you can see in here all the commands that are used by the self-extracting program to perform all the installations. So as mentioned earlier, the .NET Framework 3.5 is only used when publishing the SQL Server reports, because it uses the rs.exe program that Microsoft provide, which in turn depends on .NET Framework 3.5. So if you have it already installed, or you have another means to publish reports, then it is not required. This short video just briefly covers how to enable the feature in Windows Server 2016 using the GUI. The edition of SQL Server installed is SQL Server 2017 Express with advanced services. The configuration is provided in an ini file and passed to the setup program in the command line. A full explanation of all the configuration options is really outside the scope of this video, so I'm just going to cover some of the essential points when using SQL Server with emisCAD. The features we install include the database engine, full text search, client connectivity tools, and backward compatibility. The collation sequence installed is the default Latin 1 General CIAS, which is the same for the database backup that is provided. So if you have an instance of SQL Server already with a different collation sequence, please contact us and we'll provide you with a database backup that matches your collation sequence. If you already have SQL Server available to you, you probably already have SQL Server Management Studio installed and available to you also. Here we can just see that the executable to install it is provided. So as mentioned earlier, we provide you with a database backup of the starter database, emis database. We use the SQL command from the command line to actually restore it from the backup file. The collation sequence of tempdb has to match the emis database collation sequence, so if it doesn't match Latin 1 General CIAS, then we can provide you with a copy that does match your collation sequence. Then we have the user-defined SQL Server messages. We provide that in a SQL file, which you can simply run through the SQL processor of your choice, SQL command, SSMS, etc. SQL Server Reporting Services installer is no longer part of the main SQL Server installer package. It has to be downloaded and installed separately. We've provided the installer for you, but of course if you already have a reporting server available to you, you can skip this step. If you do need to install reporting services, then after installation you'll need to configure it. Now, the automatic installer provides a PowerShell script within which it performs all the necessary configuration. So you have two options. You can use the GUI that's accessible through the program menu, or use the PowerShell script via the command as supplied. Now we have a working reporting server. We need to publish the emis reports, which can be found in the reports directory, and there's a command file from which the publication is performed. So there are a number of arguments here: the HTTP protocol, the web server on which the report service is accessible, the name of the report service, in this case report server, the database name, which is by default emis 2019, and the SQL Server instance, which in this case is represented by period, which is the default local instance. So I've edited the command file to suit this server, and I'm running it now from within a command prompt. It will then publish the reports to the reporting server using the rs.exe program, hence the need for the .NET Framework 3.5. Once all the reports and related items have been published to the reporting server, we'll then need to check the associated log file for each set of items. So I'm just going to look in the common financial folder as an example. Publish reports log, just maximize the window so we can see everything, and we can see that because I've run this previously, we've got some items that already exist, and the rest that were published successfully produced no warnings. Now we'll cover the resources that emisCAD depends upon. The folders are provided in a self-extracting executable which is silent. It will give you no notification that it's complete, and it will place the folders by default in your program data folder. The silent extractor is emisCAD folder, and I've just double clicked it here, and as you can see there is no notification that it has completed. And if we now just browse to see program data emisCAD, we can see all the resources that emisCAD uses. The location of these are set within the emisCAD configuration, which we'll cover later on in this video. And finally, we can see that if emisCAD is installed, it will copy the template drawings from this folder into the emisCAD installation folder, and that too I'll cover later because we haven't yet got emisCAD installed on this computer. Before I move on to emisCAD 2019 configuration, I'll just mention the cumulative update for SQL Server 2017. Since the installer was produced, the cumulative update produced by Microsoft is now at cumulative update 13. The application of a cumulative update is optional, however Microsoft do include some security updates on a regular basis, so I would advise you review the patch notes and decide for yourself if it's applicable. I'll include a link to this website in the description. So now we'll look at the emisCAD configuration. I'm going to first of all open the emisCAD config file in an editor, and we need to locate the database connection settings. Where you've not used the default SQL Server name and host, we're going to set that in connection strings. We have one connection string here where the data source is set to the local server, so you would change that to the name of your SQL Server or its IP address, and also change the initial catalog or database name to match the name that you used when you restored it. In user settings, we have the options which are set from within emisCAD program itself. I would recommend you continue to use emisCAD itself to maintain those values. So I'm just going to scroll down now to some other settings that we need to review. In application settings, we have the reference to the reporting server. Currently it's set to our local host report server URL. That would then need to be changed to match your report server configuration, and by default the reports are published to an emisCAD folder within your report server. So if you've made changes in that regard, then also you will need to change the value here to suit. The reference table editor also has its own connection string, and that also needs to match the connection string values that were set earlier. As mentioned in the emisCAD 2019 installation video, the provided license file will need to be copied into your Stanbury's emisCAD 2019 program folder. You will need to obtain a license file from Stanbury's. Once you've copied the license file into the program folder, you will then need to run the emisCAD program as administrator just for the first time, so that the licensing can be established correctly. So now I've chosen to evaluate the product, and then it will now go through and perform its first run initialization. So now we have emisCAD running, we can review the options. If you've installed the emisCAD resources into a different folder, we will need to change the options accordingly. But first of all, I'll go into options and include the hatch patterns into the search path, which is not included by default. So I've just browsed to where we've installed the hatch patterns folder and added it to the support file search path. I'll now switch over to the emisCAD options, and you can see here that at the moment we've got them set to the default location, C program data emisCAD. Now, as I said, if you have them located in a different location, you would need to then set them in here accordingly to the new location. And finally here I'm just navigating to C program data just to verify that those folders do actually exist in that location, and indeed they do. One final task is to copy the drawing templates that we couldn't copy earlier because we hadn't got emisCAD installed. So I'm just going to now just copy this path and navigate to it from within Explorer just to save some typing. And then go back to the resources folder in program data, into the template folder, and copy these two drawing template files into the working folder. Thank you for your interest in emisCAD 2019 standalone. This video has been a little longer than the others, but it did cover a larger amount of ground. If you do need some help with the installation or have any questions, please do contact us at Stanbury's. There is an evaluation copy available, and again, please contact Stanbury's for more information.